Good afternoon, dear friends. Ukraine Media Center continues its work. We are supported by the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine and Ministry of Internal Affairs of Ukraine. And right now in our studio we have Oleksandr Motuzyanyk, spokesman of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, who will tell us about the situation on the front lines at the moment. You're welcome. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I'd like to share with you information about Russian military aggression in Ukraine. Information as of today, as of noon today, 22nd of April. Russia continues its wide-scale armed aggression against our country. The enemy carries out offensive operation in the eastern area of operations, and the main goal of that offensive is taking full control over the territories of Donetsk and Lugansk oblasts, as well as maintaining ground corridor of the occupied Crimea. The command of the Russian army establishes the preferable locations for main offensive. It's confirmed by the tools of firing, arrangement of their troops, aligning them, and continuous offensive operation in some areas. The highest level of activity of the occupiers is seen in the direction of Izum and Barvinkovo, around Popasna railway hub, Severodonetsk urban area, around city of Mariupol, as well as at Zaporizhzhia-Donetsk highway. Now about the operational situation. In Southern Buga area, the enemy tries to improve its tactical situation and strengthen its positions at the administrative boundaries of Kherson Oblast. To that end, the enemy continues strengthening its group of troops, adding new troops and accumulating rockets, ammo and fuel. In Slobozhenщina area, a group of the 6th Army of Western Military District continues partial siege of Kharkiv, actively using artillery and aviation. Near Balakli and Lazova, the enemy has been strengthening its positions and fortifying them. Around Izum and Barvinkovo, Russian units from the 1st Tank Army, 20th Army of the Western Military District, 35th Army and 68th Corps of the Eastern Military District carry out offensive operations, including those aimed at taking control of railways. According to Ukrainian intelligence, in Belgorod Oblast of Russia, there has been mass-scale taking of blood from people for needs of Russian armed forces. In Severodonetsk area, the enemy's units carry out assault operation around Zarichna and try to move towards Rubizhne. In Southern Buga area, the occupiers' troops from their southern military district focuses its main attempts at improving its tactical situation, maintaining their positions, and making the maximum fire impact on our troops. Also, the enemy continues its assault around villages of Pravdina, Tavrisk, and artillery shelling towards Shevchenkove and Ternovi Pode. In Volyn, Polisa, and Siversk areas, at the moment, some units of Belarusian armed forces continue implementing assignments on strengthening the Belarus-Ukraine border in Brest and Homel oblasts. It's worth noting that Russia is using Belarusian territory to the full extent for all types of intelligence and reconnaissance. In Black Sea and Azov areas of operation, groups of enemy ships in Black Sea and Sea of Azov isolate the combat area, doing some reconnaissance and providing fire support in coastal areas. As of now, in Black Sea, there are 2 ships which carry Caliber cruise missiles. Their total launch capacity is up to 16 rockets. At the same time, in the territories of Donetsk and Lugansk oblasts, over the last day, our defenders have repelled 10 attacks by Russian occupiers, destroyed 6 tanks, 8 armored vehicles, and 15 cars and trucks, as well as 4 artillery systems. Armed forces of Ukrainian armed forces, jointly with air defense units of ground forces and paratroopers, Marines and National Guard over the last day downed 15 targets of the enemy, including 9 UAVs, 3 airplanes and 3 helicopters. A couple of words about illegal activities of Russian occupiers. The enemy continues its rocket strikes, bombing and artillery shelling against residential buildings in Kharkiv, Lugansk and Donetsk Oblast, as well as infrastructure facilities. Russian occupiers have been using the tactics of terrorizing Ukrainian citizens. There are still killings, torture, persecution of local self-government and priests, taking local companies under the auspices of nationalization, blocking of evacuation routes and humanitarian aid routes. Occupiers have been blocking all humanitarian cargoes from government-controlled territory of Ukraine directed at occupied or surrounded towns and villages. The enemy is preparing for so-called a referendum for occupied territories in Kherson and Zaporizhia Oblast to join the Russian Federation. To that end, they continue active information campaign in territories under their control. And to replenish their personnel, there have been preparations for so-called mobilization in Kherson and Zaporizhia Oblast. Russian troops are blocking local people from leaving occupied territories, in particular those males of conscript age. Total losses as of today have been announced by General Staff. So thank you for attention. Glory to Ukraine, glory to heroes. Dear colleagues, you're welcome to ask your questions. Please use the microphone. Are there any questions? Good afternoon. I'm Viktor Melnikov from CGTN. Could you please comment, if possible, the situation around Azovstal steel factory? You can, it's all clear, their situation is difficult. I cannot share any additional information. Any more questions?
TV. You said that Russians are using Ukrainians for blood donations. How do you know that, and what details can you give us on that?
I'll clarify. According to our intelligence, in Belgorod Oblast of Russia, they are taking blood from locals, Russians, from their local. They take blood from their people for their army. It's in the Russian territory in Belgorod Oblast. Thank you. Any more questions?
The United States is going to be sending Phoenix. The United States is going to be sending. They're called Phoenix Ghost. The U.S. is going to be sending Phoenix Ghost drones. Do you know how those are going to be used and when you'll have them?
If such equipment arrives to Ukraine, it will be used according to its intended purpose, to destroy Russian occupiers, their personnel and equipment. It will be used according to its purpose, intended purpose. I would like to thank, on behalf of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, the Ministry of Defense and the whole Ukraine, I would like to thank all countries who have been helping Ukraine to resist enemy's aggression. We need weapons. No, we need weapons. Ukraine is not defending only its own territory. We defend the whole Europe and the whole civilized world against Russian occupation. And it's very important, and it's worth understanding. So Ukraine does need weapons, including heavy weapons and aircraft and radio electronic warfare tools, and very importantly, air defense tools, in order to strengthen our air defense forces and protect, defend our cities against enemy's rocket strikes.
Hello, Raymond Lübken, Blick Media, Switzerland. I want to ask, can you tell us how many Russian soldiers and weapons are based in Transnistria?
I don't have this information. I don't have this sort of information.
From La Diaria, Uruguay, South America. And the Chilean reporter Gonzalo Lira is reported dead. You know something about that?
Sorry, could you repeat your question, please?
Repeat, please.
The death of the Chilean reporter Gonzalo Lira. He's reported dead since yesterday.
Ні, я не маю такої інформації. Власне,
No, I don't have this information and I'm not authorized to comment on that. Thank you, Oleksandr. Thank you, dear friends. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. You're welcome to monitor our announcements, and now we are developing our schedule of briefings for tomorrow, so you're welcome to monitor our Telegram channels, our YouTube, Twitter,